And then sometimes your kids get sick. You don't realize how much a sick child will throw you off till you're getting up every 5 minutes because they keep coughing themselves out of sleep. I mean, don't get me wrong, I know it could be worse. But it's a good reminder that we need to take a breath sometimes and deal with the things that really matter. That said, it took a few days longer than expected, but here's Chatting with Casey, episode 15. Let's get it. But then sometimes, conversations don't run as long as you expected because let's face it, we all have busy lives to lead. And when... You're interrupting the thought. Really? Really though? Are you playing Minecraft?
But I want to play a different game.
Welcome to Chatting with Casey with your host, Casey Palmer. Episode 15. I'm where I need to be right now. Welcome to Chatting with Casey, the podcast that's all about family, food, fashion, and faith, and travel, and tech, and figuring out what to do to outdo your last podcast because that's how we do around here. This got slightly delayed, not only because my kid was sick, but also because I listened to the first set of recordings and it felt rushed. I was speaking really fast, and it was clear that, I was really not in the zone I needed to be in to really put the podcast out to its best potential. So re-recorded everything, sat down, took a chill pill, and now here we are. Podcasting differs a lot from blogging in that so much more gets removed before you get to a final piece. With a blog, you might have a rough draft and delete the odd sentence here or there, but for the most part, it's an additive process putting more into it until it's exactly how you want it. And podcasts might start that way if there's a script, but it's a largely subtractive approach, taking things away for the sake of flow or brevity until the final piece is the best it can be. And that's an approach I apply to all my episodes. In a world where creators are told the optimal length for a podcast is 15 to 30 minutes, I routinely shoot for the hour mark, knowing that the devil's in the details and I'd rather give my listeners the full story rather than just an excerpt. But then sometimes conversations don't run as long as you expected because, let's face it, we all have busy lives to lead. And when that happens, you need to shift to another set of gears entirely to make it work, making sure you get your intended message across without sacrificing the consistency you're going for in your format. And that, my friends, is the challenge I faced with episode 15. So for those of you who listened to last week's episode on everything nerdy with the wonderful Errol Elumir, you may have noticed that it cut things a little short. Or maybe you didn't, which would mean I'm a really good editor, but that's beside the point. If you haven't checked his daily comment, My Neighbor Errol out, and if so, shame on you, links in the show notes. He dedicated 3 strips to the experience, but noted that a few topics went mysteriously missing. Our shared love for One Piece, his abundant love for Studio Ghibli, especially My Neighbor Totoro. Turns out an hour is not quite as long as I think, and some conversations just need to get condensed for the sake of time. But as fate would have it, it turns out that this week's guest was a little short on time because we were chatting while his boys were having a nap. So it was a perfect opportunity to give people more of what they were asking for. The last bit of my conversation with Errol, including the lengths he's willing to go to for a Totoro contest, and why you should sit down and watch all 864 episodes of One Piece right now, but with subtitles and not dubbed over in English because you don't want to be a poser, right? Let's check it out.
There's also a thing called the February album writing month, and that happens in, obviously, February, and that's where you write 14 songs in 28 days. And it's a smaller community, but it's more collaborative because what you can do is you can write songs with other people. And then I dove into that community because there's more chance to hear each other's stuff, figure out each other's style, and then also collaborate with each other. And that actually helped me with my musician skills. So it was one of the very few times, a long time ago, that I actually started even listening to how I sounded. And then I realized, oh my goodness, I do that. You know, there are all these things I realized I didn't do. It's like when people tell you to record yourself when you're speaking so you can hear all your tics and you can hear everything that you do. also important for singing. So I would listen and go, whoa, I scoop so much. Where I would go, yeah, I'd kind of like slide up to the note and I do all these things. I'm going, and I was a music director at the church, as you know. It's like, whoa, I'm doing all of this. This is a long time ago. And thinking, wow, I got to improve my singing. So, and it also helped me improve my writing and music writing skills too.
Wow.
So it was great. I think of myself more as a musician than a writer.
Okay.
I'm still not a good writer, but I have improved my music skills because of FOM. So one of the main things I've always been interested in, getting to if you want to know anything about me, I like to create things.
Cool.
I do like.
That's awesome because that's what I try to do as much as possible, which is probably why I write and draw and everything as much as I do.
Mm-hmm.
I like seeing the ideas in the ether of my head come and turn into something tangible that I could share with people. So that's pretty much the underpinning reason for much of what I do in life.
Yeah,
sure.
Similar. I just like to create stuff, and I also think that if you do it daily, then it can be practiced because you can get into the zone more. You can help yourself get over that writer's block. Writer's block is just worried that you're going to write crap. But you don't really have writer's block because anybody can write crap. It's just that you're scared of that crap. So you're not going to write the crap. You want to write amazing things.
Right.
And then so you don't write anything at all. And I just keep writing the crap. And eventually you're going to get into the flow of it. And then you don't have to fear it so much. And so that's also another reason why, although I've been really lax, I actually do a webcomic about my family every day. So I have this webcomic. It's called My Neighbor Errol. It's based on My Neighbor Totoro kind of thing. Yeah. And it's mostly about my family. I actually have no idea how many people read it.
Okay.
I don't really care.
That's not the point.
No, it's not the point. It's just that it's been going, I think, I don't know, whatever, in my third year.
Okay.
Where I write a comic every day, and it's about my family. And it's a great way for me to even 5 years? God, it's been 5 years already. For you? Oh.
5 years?
No, I don't think it's 5 years. It's been a long time. So I've been, and maybe what I can do when my kids get married, I can print out all the comics and here you go. This is our life. But it's a great way for me to look back.
Okay.
It's like how Facebook shows you all these memories you don't care about. And some of them you do care about. And other ones like, why would you show me that? I don't know who this person is anymore. Different things like that.
Fair enough.
It's, and even though I may change it to make it a little bit funnier, I prefer that version of my life anyway.
Cool. I feel right now like I felt when I first got into Reddit and started just going down the rabbit hole and understanding so much more about just what's out there on the web. And I'm like, oh, there's people who are either really into I'm a huge fan of One Piece.
Oh, me too. Yes. Oh, Echo and I are going through One Piece, but don't tell us that we don't read the manga.
Okay,
and we're only on Zoo currently. So
okay, you're far though.
Oh yeah, we are far. We're episode 800.
Yeah, okay, you're doing great.
Oh, there's somebody we can talk to One Piece about.
If you guys caught me at church and you want to talk about One Piece, oh my gosh, I have there's an infographic I'm slowly working on.
Everybody on this podcast.
This is going to be the nerdiest episode of Chatting with Casey ever. Everything I can't share with everyone normally is in one episode. So there you go. I have an infographic I'm slowly working on called One Piece in One Piece.
Oh,
which is basically the entire duration of One Piece in just one infographic showing all the character changes and all the new moves they learn and all the different mysteries that unfold and everything. It's taken forever because there's so much material.
Oh, yes.
But I'm trying to time it so that by the time chapter 1000 comes out in, I think, we're on 9/24 coming out in the morning.
So you read the manga?
I read the manga.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Do you watch it as well?
I do watch it as well.
Okay.
Yep.
So we're scared. Now, I have a friend at work, a coworker, that also, and he constantly says, "Oh, I really wish you read the manga," because he wants to talk about it to somebody. But there's
great
nobody.
Stuff happening.
Yeah. And we've stopped at Zoo,
okay,
but we need to do it. But we're scared of getting into the final arc because it's not done yet. And if there's anything I hate, is because the first 8 minutes is recap.
Yep.
And then there's shouting, and then there's staring and reaction, and then you see, the final move, and then it's over.
Yep.
It's
where the anime is pacing right now is just
it's not so far behind that it's just, there's the cool stuff where, let me think, where the latest episode is. Yeah, we're getting towards the end of Whole Cake, and things are happening. But
no, we are excited. I want to go back to it. It's just that we are kind of
11 episodes in a day.
We can. We our Sundays or Saturdays.
Back when I started watching the anime, that was a light day. That was I wake up and suddenly you stop watching and it's 6 a.m. Like what happened in my day? But I got into it probably easily a decade ago.
Oh yeah,
it's been a good while. So, but it's one of those things I can't get people into because it's so big and so long. So anyone who's even a diehard anime fan, I try talking to them. It's like, yeah, you should get into One Piece because One Piece is amazing, and it's 800 plus episodes, 900 plus chapters. I'm like, but it's so good.
I know, and it's hard to get that across.
Yeah,
and I don't blame them. And it's funny now. Another thing that we're really into, my whole family is, which is really exciting for me because I only watch One Piece with Echo, my eldest daughter. Don't do it with anybody else. But my whole family actually likes watching Korean dramas. So we're all into Korean dramas right now. She likes the family book of goo with you guys, whatever it's called. Anyway, we are obsessed with Korean dramas now. I've heard
stories about K-dramas and C-dramas. And
actually, no, we don't even watch Chinese dramas, although we did watch one, but we're obsessed with Korean dramas. Okay. Well, it's really interesting because when you get to the romance ones, it's almost like a Christian romance because Korea is very censored.
Yep.
So, when you get to the kiss or you hold hand, this is a huge deal. And so when you get to that final part, that usually means wow, you're almost near the end.
And the entire country freaked out.
They confess their love, No, this isn't to say it's completely innocent. Sometimes it can be quite violent, especially, but they'll blur out the knife. So usually if there is a utensil that's meant for harm, it will be blurred.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, it's
They
weird.
blurred out that sharpened chopstick.
Yes, they will. But I really enjoy it because the plots are complicated. They don't do as much exposition as North American, where they kind of North American shows where they kind of explain everything to you. It's no, I understand. You don't have to keep telling me. Nobody does stupid things. You know what I mean? Sometimes you watch a show and you think, why would you do that? Who does that? But you don't see that in a Korean drama.
How are they compared to telenovelas?
What's telenovela? Sorry. I haven't watched any of that. Sorry.
Really? Okay, because it sounds very telenovela. I think that would probably be the geographically closest equivalent of a K-drama to North America.
Yeah.
Telenovelas are, they go over tens of years, but they have very woven in complex, storylines and everything. But maybe they're just way more complex. Sorry, way more compact with 16 episodes because then you just get to the point.
They do. You do well, relatively. But another thing too,
a long
it's 16 episodes and then it's over. It's done. There's no we have to
next season.
There is no next season. So they give you a complete story in 16 episodes, and then you cry because you don't want it to end.
Oh, that's good though. I find that when you have the ending in mind is just better.
Yeah, because then they
drag on otherwise.
So they can weave. Other than One Piece, One Piece does a wonderful.
Look at you.
One Piece does a wonderful
Naruto.
job of creating a fun story. But here it is, a complete, compact 16 or 20 episodes, whatever they decide it might be, and it's a lot of fun. So we watch a lot of Korean dramas. Anyway,
can I adopt myself into your family?
Yeah, go for it.
My kids aren't that cool yet. I'm watching a lot of, what do we watch? Oh my gosh. They watch Paw Patrol ad nauseum. Oh my goodness. Those pups. I don't understand how you'd give a 10-year-old run over an entire city and expect him to solve all your problems with a bunch of idiotic adults who just get into the most ludicrous. I'm sorry. Spin Master, we're friends. We're good. But Paw Patrol makes no logical sense to me. And we have to have this conversation sooner or later where I'm just you have great toys and stuff and whatever, but your show is driving me nuts.
Well, I think it's, it's hearkening back to the 80s where, cartoons were really just toy commercials.
Yeah.
And some people talk about the golden age of things, but I'm old enough to know, the
Cardish gold.
Yeah, the 80s cartoons were crap.
G.I. Joe, He-Man, it was all
horrible.
One big long commercial.
We loved it, but it was horrible. Yeah. As compared to cartoons now, some of them are amazing. I remember
Samurai Jack.
I remember the first time I saw Avatar.
Oh yeah,
Last Airbender.
I'm watching that right now for like the third time.
Yeah, I don't blame you. And I was like, this show's amazing. Like,
I didn't Angry Zuko in season 1, turning into not so angry Zuko down the road.
Yeah, I was shocked at how good that show was, and I wasn't expecting it. And,
for sure.
And you can see that more and more with a lot of the current entertainment. So
cool.
Wow.
Well, we've talked a lot.
We have.
That's been a lot of talking. We have 70 minutes of nerddom that we've now encapsulated in time and memorialized for time eternal on this podcast.
Nobody's gonna.
We cut it short, just like, all right. So, before, what time is it? Because I eventually do have to.
Oh, you do have to go.
It's good.
Isn't it 10:30? You have to go.
I have a 4-minute drive.
Oh, that's true.
I have a car across the street. I will get in it, get home, drop a line to this person. It'll be good. Do you have anything burning that you want to share with the world before we wrap up?
Oh, I don't think so.
Okay.
Oh, a long time ago, there used to be this thing where TIFF Lightbox Theater, they did a Ghibli showcase.
Yes, I heard about that.
Oh, cool, right? So that might have been 2 years ago. There was one a couple years ago back, and they held a contest, the biggest Totoro fan, Ghibli fan, and they would win 10 passes, 10 pairs of tickets to all these movies.
Did you win?
Oh, I won.
How did you win?
Well, the reason I won is that I decided I'm going to go all out on social media. And that's what I did.
Okay.
I was really, I'm going to win these tickets. So I did everything every single day trying to get their attention about how much I love Ghibli. And I did. There are videos, there are cartoons, there are everything, right? I included my webcomic at the time, did everything I could and I was on their Facebook every day, on their Twitter every day, trying to tell them how much I love Ghibli. And I was one of the 2 winners. So it was amazing. So we got 10 pairs of tickets to see the Ghibli movies on the big screen, which is amazing. So if you ever get a chance to ever see it on the big screen, like seeing Castle in the Sky, Labrador on the big screen is nothing. Because when you're here with children screaming at you, it's not the same.
You're not immersed into it.
Yeah, but when you are immersed, there's this one scene. Have you seen? Yeah, okay. So when they break through the clouds and the storms and hit the quiet sky of Laputa, because at that point in time, sound cuts.
Yes.
To complete silence.
Wow.
And it hits you. The silence hits you like it shouldn't. And it's amazing. And there are just so many amazing aspects.
Okay.
Yeah. We that was the first time my wife ever saw Grave of the Fireflies.
Okay.
Yeah, that was that was a heavy movie.
I can imagine that being a very ooh.
Yeah, but it was all on the big screen.
Wow.
I sent because we only had 10 pairs, but there's a lot. I sent my girls to the ones I've already seen in the theaters. So I've seen from Mononoke onwards in the theaters. I sent them to that. And all the ones that I haven't seen in the theaters, I took those ones.
Sure, makes sense. Makes sense.
Yeah.
All right.
It was good times.
Cool.
Anyway, I just, wanted to express how much I like Totoro. So
all good.
Yeah. I don't really have any. I don't really have any huge projects coming up other than minor ones.
All right. Well, I'll still be sharing out, like when I do the write-ups of everyone, I just try to link to what they're working on. So probably the webcomic and other things like that. I'll just drop it in there so people know it exists and get a bit more context for you and what you do.
If you're interested in puzzle design, I actually have a website where I keep track of all my... It's a website that just keeps track of my articles. Okay. So I do a yearly enthusiast survey that I usually do and take, and have people... talk about, but it's really about the escape room industry, and that's boring to more people. So I don't know why I'm sharing it at all. Actually.
Okay, well, I'll slot it in anyway, and we'll see what happens. And maybe you never know who's listening. Things might pop up, right? It's one of those things where I'm talking about the entire premise of why I started the podcast. Well, there's a couple of reasons, but one of the underlying reasons why I started in the first place was just to talk to people about their passions, and I didn't know what shape or form that would take with various people, but I just want to be able to show that there's such a myriad of things going out there in the world, and creating a forum where we can just talk about it, chat about it, and I just the process is being a little grueling because I'm such a writer. And what I'll do is I'll take the episode, I will edit the episode.
Oh, good.
And then I'll write around it. Like
you guys are lucky you didn't hear the whole thing.
You'll get a short version or maybe 2 episodes depending on how this goes, because usually I try to cut it down a bit. But then I'll write like an intro and say the intro, and then I write a miniature blog post around it and everything. Just because there's so much power in words that I want to make sure that I don't feel that things are getting misconstrued, but I do worry that people.
Oh yeah, they might think we're nerds,
right? Yeah, it's like if you didn't understand already,
we're not nerds, guys.
But I just don't think people always understand the actual impact or significance of something when it's being discussed, and so I try to frame it in a way that people really understand why we're talking about certain things or why certain things are important and things of that nature. So yeah, that'll all be happening. It'll all be a thing.
Thanks, Errol. Now, if you grew up in Canada anytime in the last 20-odd years, my next guest should need no introduction. With nearly a decade spent on Much Music with the ever-famous moniker Rick the Temp, the first and last time you'll hear me say that, by the way, and another dozen as a host of Entertainment Tonight Canada, there aren't too many Canadians who are unfamiliar with Rick Campanelli's face or what he's been up to in the past. But when I mentioned we'd be podcasting together, a number of people asked the very same question. What's he up to now? Rick and I struck up a friendship at a Hallmark Mother's Day event where we surprised people with our joint technique of wrapping gifts for my mom and Sarah. Because I'm obviously in charge of putting gifts together from the kids until they're old enough to do it themselves. We both noted how good it was to have another dad around and kept things going with an LG event months later which looked at some of their new dishwashers and fridge offerings. He's been a great guy to get to know, and I'm sure this episode won't be the last time we're crossing paths. But before I get to my chat with Rick, let me tell you a little story that shows you the character of this mild-mannered celebrity who's every Canuck's best friend. So I met up with Rick at the hotel his family was staying at for a few days, and though the lobby was a little bustling, we figured we could find a little nook to record in for a while. Just as we were about to go off in search of one, Rick bumped into a former colleague he hadn't seen in some time, and it turned out she ran a gyrotonic studio on the 42nd floor. Fitting, because she was our answer to life, the universe, and everything in it at that moment. The view was stellar, the acoustics amazing, and most importantly, we couldn't hear a peep from the world we just left 41 floors below, which made editing this conversation so much easier. Now, admittedly, she's not one for much of digital promotion. She has more than enough clientele, and we're all well aware that word of mouth is the best form of promotion. But I just want to say thank you very much, Joanna. You really helped us out of a jam. The short answer of what Rick's up to right now is spending some well-deserved time at home with his family. But the longer answer might surprise you, and that's what we're here to find out in Chatting with Casey, episode 15. I'm where I need to be right now. I hope you enjoy it.
All right. So, guys, we're here on Chatting with Casey, because you know that, because it's a podcast title you clicked when you clicked this. But I'm here with my friend and awesome guest, Rick Campanelli. Rick,
Casey,
how are you?
I'm excellent. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for getting this together, man.
My pleasure. When you say we're here with Chatting with Casey, here is... it's a general term.
It's a weird story of how this all came together, right?
It's
awesome.
I'm in Toronto for the last couple of days. I live in Burlington now. I don't know if you or your listeners knew that. Moved out of the hustle and bustle of the big city, out of my little shoebox of what we called a home with my family.
Very Torontonian.
And we're way out west now, closer to my family. Anyhow, I'm staying, when I come into town to do events, I stay at hotels because it's not the best when you drive back and forth.
You know when Toronto's ranked as the 6th worst place in the Western Hemisphere for traffic.
Yes,
I think we can all appreciate that. You don't want to have to do that commute every day if you don't have to.
Right. Yeah. So we're here at a hotel. We're not going to say which one it is, but in downtown Toronto, beautiful place. First time staying here, and we run into. Because we're going to get set up in the lobby, but the lobby was a little too noisy. We run into one of my friends that I used to work with at Much Music. Yep. Actually, we started on the first day. I think it was like the first week back in 1994.
Which is amazing.
What is it now? 2018, 24
Only a
years
few years
ago.
later. Only a few years later, you're good.
And she has a place here in this hotel, and she was so gracious enough to lend us her space.
Yeah. So we're on the level 42 of this wonderful building overlooking a lot of downtown Toronto. She has a lot of amazing stuff all around that I've never seen before in my life. It is great. Gyrotonics. Yeah, level 42 Gyrotonics. It's like these, exercise machines that are part wood, part cable, part like it's a very interesting space, and I love her for it. Like this is the greatest change of pace today.
And to me, it looks like something from it looks like some sort of barbaric torture chamber devices
in the most,
to me, because I know nothing about gyrotonics, but it looks like cool equipment, and I'm dying. During this, I might get onto that.
That's okay.
Piece of equipment, and I do some exercise.
I won't stop you. I'll fill in the dead space of everyone wondering where this guest has gone, but I'm sure we can make that work. So
thank you, Joanna, for allowing us to use your space.
So to give a quick history of the story of Casey Palmer and Rick Campanelli. So we first met at a Hallmark event.
We did.
Earlier this year, Mother's Day.
It was for Mother's Day.
And we kind of hit it off because there weren't that many dads in that space. It was Rick and me.
I think we were the only two dads. Yeah. A lot of moms. Tons. But we were the only two dads. Yeah. And some single guys that have moms. Yep. But you and I come from that background of, we know we've been there. We've changed a lot of diapers. Way too many to mention. Yeah. You're still in that world? Them. Yeah, me too, man. Me too.
It's hilarious because, I have to take out the boys in the morning over to school and daycare. Yeah. And like the little one times it almost. Where it's like, everything's all dressed up. We're ready to go. And he's like, no, just had a poopy. And I'm like,
all right.
Yeah.
You're used to that though.
I navigate around it.
Yeah.
A lot of it is learning how to be chill in the morning so that I'm not expressing my frustration with time and everything to the kids. So I try to have some leeway with the schedule because, you never know how it's going to turn out.
You never know. And you sort of have to be chill, not just in the morning with young toddlers, like all day long. I like 24/7. You really do have to reel it in and be chill. That's the key to everything. If you start losing it, you're done, man.
You're setting a bad precedent because they're that's it. They have won, and that's going to be your life for a very long time.
Remain chill. Any new dads out there or new moms listening, just remain chill. Everything will work itself out. Everything will be okay.
100%. Yeah. And then after that, we met at the LG event with Chef Chuck Hughes, which was really awesome. Times, It was good.
That fancy InstaView fridge and that quad wash with steam. See, I know the titles of these appliances.
You only had to say it, you had to figure that out a few times. I mean, how many sessions did you have to do? And
a few that day. That was a fun day, though, man. Good. And especially getting to know Chuck Hughes throughout the whole day. I've known the guy and we've talked before, but we got to spend a good 8 hours of our lives together that day. So and with you guys too coming in.
It's in a different space now. Like I've talked to Jay Michaels a bit. I've talked to a few other people who have had personality and are known entities in the Toronto area space. But now that everyone's moving into parenthood and shifting into this other space where there's another entire side of their lives that maybe it wasn't like the right space to talk about at the time.
Yeah.
But the conversations and the relationships that are forming from this now are just so much more profound and different than I'm finding before because everyone has that commonality.
Of course.
You all go through something, at least something similar when it comes to raising kids.
Yes.
And so that's why I thought we'd be good together.
Yeah, of course of course.
To make this happen.
Listen, man, I can have long conversations with people till, there's no more hours in the day. But when it comes to talking to someone about children and the challenges we all face and the valleys and the peaks we all go through with raising our kids, it's such a, and you learn so much too. I was just in Bangladesh hanging out with a young family.
Okay.
He's a farmer who has two small ones and his wife, and they live in just the smallest of little huts in northern Bangladesh. And he's growing rice, but not only is it rice, but he's infused this rice with zinc.
Really?
And so his wife will obviously eat this rice with zinc in it, and she'll breastfeed her little ones, and it helps with so much in terms of body development, brain development. So it's and that's just a side of what we learn, but it's just so amazing to learn how these young parents are raising their young children, just the same way we're here in North America raising our young children, and you share those stories, and you give a little, and you learn a lot, and it's so amazing. So I could talk for hours.
No, that's cool.
On this
I
topic.
mean, you don't have hours to talk right now.
I don't, because my boys are actually napping and they'll be waking up soon, and I got to get back down to them.
Understandable.
But this is part 1, right?
Yeah, of course.
Part 1.
This is a long-standing thing to come. I'm hoping to be around for like 1,000 episodes at least.
Yeah,
so,
you will.
You know,
yeah. What number are we at now?
Well, 13 just came out, so
Good,
I have a ways to go.
Yeah.
But it's one of my passion projects right now to get the podcast out. I find that they are just, like I was saying before, the relationships and the actual genuine conversation that comes out of them, just so much more. It's so much richer than what I found with a lot of social media and a lot of things like that. We've kind of moved away in a lot of ways from having the conversations. It's a lot more sound bites.
For sure.
But it's like, I'm trying to bring it back.
Good for you, man. Do it. I could see it happening. See, you and I could be just sitting in a bar right now talking as good friends, but we want the listeners to be a fly on the wall and listen, and hopefully they enjoy what we're saying, and we'll see. They're the judge.
They'll be okay with it. I'm pretty sure.
Are you people okay with it?
We'll find out.
Sure.
Yeah, feedback. Feedback is key, everyone.
Yes.
So feel free to let us know. And if you want more Rick, we'll figure that out. But in general, just let us know. We're people too. We're people too.
They've had enough Rick for 24 years, man. No, they've had enough Rick. It's time to slow down. Slow down.
That is a good segue. What everyone has asked me. So I people were asking about my production schedule, what's coming up. I'm like, well,
You're busy.
That's not news to anyone at this point. I'm all over the place all the time. But people have asked, what is Rick up to these days? What's going on?
Well, yeah, since leaving ET Canada, and those were 12 amazing seasons, and I was so honored to be a part of that show for that long, and to start it back in 2005. 2006, I forget.
Time doesn't matter anymore.
Time does not matter.
You have kids. Time is not a thing that works the same way as it used to. So don't worry about those years.
Well, it started a week after I left Much, so there you go.
There you go. Everyone figure out your own timeline.
Didn't get a break at all. But no, man, it's nice to like just step back from that busy world of television and entertainment and journalism, and be there for family and for my wife and my kids and my father and my siblings. So, we always did that.
Yes.
But now I'm getting to do it all the time.
Okay.
Which is amazing. And, you get quite busy with jobs like this, and a lot of travel, a lot of time away from home, and you start really missing the people you really care about. Of
course.
And you love going on the road and doing your thing. Of course, that's your job.
Yep.
But there comes a time where, you just really start, and I was really starting to miss being there for those moments, those little moments, whether it's, seeing your child take his first steps or crawl or whatever, and I've got a 13-year-old too. And trust me, I was there for him all the time as much as I could, but not as much as I am now with my other little 2 toddlers. So that's one of the main reasons. It was coming to an end for me there, and it was a good ending.
Okay.
I've been basically a full-time daddy / husband since I left. There are gigs here and there that I'll host, that I'll MC, and as you know, social media and branding has been huge. It's sort of blown up. So there's a lot of opportunity there, and it's the best of both worlds.
It's good,
because we're still working, and I'm getting to spend so much time with my family.
That's key.
Yeah, man, it is.
I can appreciate that. I come from a background where my dad was running a restaurant, and he worked 12, 16 hours a day sometimes, but he had to sacrifice time with us so that he could provide for us.
Right.
And that's something I didn't appreciate till later on in life, where I finally had kids of my own. I understood
why he was away then.
Yeah, you start to understand how enriching and how much of an effect those moments will have on you when it comes down to like being there for those first steps and just your kid doing something goofy or the jokes they play and things like that.
Yeah.
And it definitely transferred from a state of it being about, I didn't have my dad around and it being about me to be understanding what it is he had to give up in order to do that. And, I won't say I sit around being sad about it. I try to spend more time with him now and bring my my kids around his grandchildren so that he can, have that time with them.
Right.
And
trust me, Casey, he was probably feeling the same exact way
Completely.
back then. Like you're missing him, he was missing you just as much.
Yeah.
You think he wanted to be at his restaurant this whole time,
Exactly.
but he had to give everyone this better life, I guess.
Exactly.
But I'm sure you were both missing each other just as much.
I'm trying to make up for that lost
Yeah,
time
man.
now.
Yeah.
The other thing I came to appreciate, though, is I'm finally understanding who my parents are, like the true selves. Because what I'm starting to understand is that I need to be a certain Casey around my kids right now in order to get them the discipline and everything they need to become good adults or whatever.
Right.
My parents, like, they're happy, they're jokey now and everything. I'm like, I don't know these people.
Yeah.
Who are these people?
Well, your parents are never the same to you when they become grandparents.
Exactly.
And they'll never be the same in your eyes because yes, as parents, they have responsibilities.
Exactly.
But as grandparents,
oh my goodness.
you have the responsibility as the parent, but they're the grandparents. So they could just take the kid, give them as much sugar as they want, spoil them until,
It's pretty much it. Whenever I do, my kids do something wrong, and I'm just like express my frustration to my mom. She just laughs at me because she's like, "You did the same thing. Like, you're not getting sympathy from me. Do not look over here for sympathy." And I'm like, "Thanks, mom."
They've been there, done it. They know that they know that road as all grandparents do.
Yeah, man, definitely. So anything awesome coming up in the future? Or are you just, taking it a day at a time? What kind of things happening?
Well, the trip to Bangladesh was amazing with World
for
Vision.
sure.
That was a really cool opportunity and experience too. I've been working with World Vision for many years.
My wife used to work for them.
She did?
Yeah,
She did,
before she started with the government, she worked there for a bit.
Okay.
It's us being Christian. It kind of worked really well into all that. And
it's a great
everything.
organization.
So
they do some amazing things.
It is. We sponsor a couple kids,
Good
and
for
our
you,
church sponsors
man.
a couple too. So
God bless you.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
man. It's important.
Yeah,
People forget about the larger world out there. And that's something I'm trying to impart to the kids as much as I can.
Yeah,
to
that's
let them
great.
know
Good
that
for
there's
you.
more beyond Toronto that exists.
Oh yeah. I wish everyone could. I know it's not a possible possibility, but I wish everyone could get over to these these underdeveloped communities and see how these people are living. It's we take for granted so much over here where we're from, and we wake up every morning, we have these hot showers, and we boil our hot water for our teas and have coffees, and man, the people that are living their lives over there have none of these luxuries, as we all know,
Right.
and they're still happy people getting by. It's all about family, that those close knit relationships. So that's one thing that I will continue to do.
Sure.
The volunteer work for World Vision. I started that back in the mid '90s, and I'll never give that up.
Awesome.
And then Christmas is around the corner. My in-laws have a place down in Florida, so we may
Nice.
sneak off to Florida
That's
for a
okay.
little while when the wet stuff starts falling and it starts getting colder.
That's a good plan.
We get out of Dodge for a little while. We don't have to be here. It usually slows down for us in January and February, but there's always going to be like little events here and there.
Cool.
I know I'm going to be doing something next month, being December at the Hockey Hall of Fame, just down the road here. So there's little one-off things that come up here and there, and
Awesome.
I'm so happy that they come up for me. And
Yeah.
that's all I need. That's all I need right now. So
you're kind of living the dad life, peppered with
Yes,
these little
yeah.
jaunts that happen here and there. That's actually a really good balance.
I'll get back into it sooner or later.
Sure.
Like it's all gonna come to an end at some point. This beautiful life I'm living.
You are
And
where you need to be right now.
I'm where I need to be right now. Yeah. And then I'll aggressively start searching for a full-time job again. Because I thought I was able to like semi-retire, but then when my wife heard me talking about those plans, she said, "No, you're not. No, you're not ready. You're gonna get it back out there one day," and I will, and I look forward to that day. But
Fair
right
enough.
now, I'm living this life exactly how I want to live it.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, man.
All right. Well, we've it's 16 minutes in. We're on a precipice of making sure that you can be where you need to be. But I feel like this is the start of a good conversation of where things go as
I like it.
the kids get older and new challenges come up, and it's interesting because people will come to me as a parenting expert despite the fact that I've only have 5-year experience. And I'm always like,
So your oldest is 5.
yeah, he just turned
And-
5 in November. The other one's 3.
3.
Almost. He'll be
Okay,
3 in January.
Yeah. So same here. So 5. Ours will be 5 in March and 3 in February.
There you go.
So we're very
Yeah.
similar.
And it's a very different world now for these kids, like trying to raise them in a digital space.
Oh, yes.
And ours, and I guess in my case, is a little interesting because, you know, you have all this work I've been doing as a blogger. You have all these packages that come in. There's just like my kids are
I've seen your
stupidly
Instagram.
spoiled. It's bad. I'm trying not to spoil them, but by the very nature of what I do, they're just spoiled by, you know, my life. So I'm trying to be like, okay, how can I raise balance?
That's your
kids
job
and make
too.
this work? Yeah,
your job too.
all of it works out to their benefit. You know,
Yeah.
in the end, I'm just very much not them first, but they are one of my primary concerns in my life for sure. And I'm always just thinking about, you know, who will they be?
You're right.
You know, with all this stuff going on, who will they be? And I keep trying to, I ground them as much as possible with, you know, different experiences and teaching them about the world.
Yeah. Good for you.
CBC Radio 1 is our soundtrack in the morning so they can be aware of what's happening and they'll ask
Excellent.
questions about things they hear on the news. And
Father of the Year. That's amazing, man.
I'm trying really hard because I know
Wow.
I want them to want for nothing. I want them, you know, every parent wants their kid to have a better life than they had, you know, it's
Of course.
the entire nature of it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you need to be aware that all the things you give them, like outside of love and attention, all the things you give them materially, you need to understand where there's a good balance, right? Of what's good and what's too much and things of that nature. But
then things that you do receive, I found, because we're in that same boat.
Yeah.
Like we love, you know, donating stuff too.
Well, that's
We've always,
a huge
you
part
know,
of it.
You get things and then you use them for a little while and then you pass them on to some other child that will open this thing up or gift up for the first time and get some enjoyment out of it. And then I'm sure they'll do the same thing. Because as you notice with kids' toys, the kids grow out of those toys so fast.
Really quickly.
So you pass them on. And that's what we've been doing with our kids too. So I was going to ask you, we were talking about changing diapers. And I think your youngest is a little older than my youngest. Yeah. We're delving into that world of, you know, the potty world.
Yep.
And getting him on that potty train.
Yep.
Have you started with your youngest yet?
Yes-ish.
And how's that going?
Not well.
Yes-ish? Okay.
I
So
mean,
you know what we could do? We can conclude this right now, and part 2 will be potty training.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
And how it's going.
It was a headache the first time.
I know.
And now I'm on it again, and I'm just, you know, he's a cute kid. He's good, but both kids have had the problem of just like, I'm having so much fun doing whatever I'm doing right now. I don't want to go to the bathroom. I'm like, you gotta, guys.
Just this morning, we were at the Bay, Hudson's Bay, shopping, and then we were at the on the second floor. There's a big FAO A.O. Schwartz toy display. And I see my little guy in there with the toy soldiers. I thought he was like standing at attention, but I see him crouching down, He's doing his thing. Yeah. I go, oh, I know what you're doing.
Let me find a quiet space where I can do it.
Comfortable, does his thing, gets back out, runs around. But yeah, it's a fun time. It's a fun time. We know, you know, we know that one day it's going to happen with the potty training. But I think with that second one, it's always like you're a little more like, okay, push it back for a few more days, a few more months or whatever, you know, because the first one, we started early, like at 2 years of age.
Yeah.
But the second one now, it's like, oh,
well, you're so busy
we'll get
with
around
the first
to it.
one.
You're so busy,
you're so busy trying to manage that at the same time. Whereas, like, I can't tell you, like, and you're gonna hear this, Xavier, like years down the road and hate me for it. But I can't tell you like exactly what his story of his first steps and his first word and everything is. All muddled because there's so much happening. So I'm happy I took a ton of video and photos to like go back and like let me look at the playback reel and see when this happened. But it's such a haze. Like one thing I can say for sure though is I spent so much more time with my second one as a newborn. Because I just felt so much more comfortable in that space. So if I was like, you know, holding him at a week old, I'm like, yeah, we'll just sit here and chill because I guess they're the same expectations anymore. Now just kind of like, you're here, I'm here, we're good.
Well, as a new parent with the first one, you're always like so delicate with the little babies and you never want to, you never know how to hold them or how close to hold them or what to do with them. And then so second, third, fourth come around. Yeah. We're pros, man. We're pros,
and it's funny because we've been to like first birthday party for people with their first kid and how delicate everyone was with their kids. And I'm like that kid over there is going to get to a point where you're like they're 4 or 5 and the first thing they do when they see you is tackle you and you'll realize how not fragile they are. My kids are so durable. They will launch themselves at me.
We're becoming more fragile as we get older and they're becoming more resilient. You know, it's like
all humans get broken down by their children bit by bit.
Oh yeah. Mentally, physically, yeah.
I'm feeling a few pains in my legs here and there that I didn't have before. I'm like, was that always that way? And I'm like, that leg's not supposed to feel that way. Well, man, thank you for joining me here. This is awesome.
Yeah, it's great catching up.
For sure.
Great catching up with you, man.
And we'll have to do this again.
This is good times. Please do it again.
Cool.
Do it again.
All right, man. Well, that was Casey Palmer and Rick Campanelli chatting with Casey, which is an apropos podcast name because that's exactly what we do here. And yeah, have a good one, guys. Later, Rick.
See you, Casey. Bye, everybody.
That's it for another Chatting with Casey, where we hustle each week to bring you something worth listening to. Thanks again to my guests, Errol Elumir and Rick Campanelli, for their contributions, and to everyone out there for taking an hour out of your day to hang here with me and all the stories we have to share here on Chatting with Casey. Do come back next week, where we discuss what makes for a good story with my guest Christine Tremolay, who saved me, along with her husband Mike, from dining alone on my first night at Dad 2.0 in New Orleans last February. New Orleans. You know what I meant. As for me, I have a to-do list to get back to and parents to help move, so let's finish up for here. As always, if you enjoy what you heard, do make sure to like, rate, share, and subscribe so we can keep making these episodes bigger and better. Enjoy your weekend, y'all, and we'll catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.
Yes. No, don't worry about it. My daughter's talking. You can edit her out.